people outside of the World Superbike and MotoGP paddocks have ever had the chance to ride anything quite like this, and unless you've got a cool 68,000 pounds to drop on a track bike, then experiencing a BMW HP4 Race will remain a dream. With an extraordinary power-to-weight ratio that would humiliate a World Superbike, the carbon fiber-framed BMW is more than just a showpiece for the German marque who are preparing to roll the technology out into mass production. BikeSocial was whisked to Almeria in Spain to attempt to tame the adrenaline-fueled 215 horsepower beast. So the main figures for the HP4 Race that most will be interested in initially are power, weight and price, and 68,000 pounds for a limited edition World Superbike spec track bike is on first reaction steep, but break down the individual components and the design and construction process and things start to make sense. Especially when you consider a set of full factory forks could set you back 11,000 pounds, and the electronics package, straight from WSB, features the ECU complete with wiring, loom, dash and race spec handlebar buttons is another 7,000 pounds. The latest incarnation of the S1000RR is hardly shabby. In fact, it's one of my favorite motorcycles thanks to its versatility and sheer pace. But when its roll is the warm-up act, then you know you'll be riding something spectacular afterwards. After a 20-minute session behind BSB's Taylor Mackenzie, familiarizing myself with the Almeria circuit on a bike fitted with slicks and a race fairing, it was time for the headliner. Seeing four of them sitting side by side perched on paddock stands with Pirelli Diablo SC2 slicks wrapped in tire warmers was as intimidating as it was exciting. Like a kid on Christmas morning, I couldn't wait to unwrap my gift. Each bike had a dedicated mechanic, and mine clicked the masterswitch by the side of the dash before ushering my thumb towards the black start button on the right hand bar. The purebred racing 999 cubic centimeters, water-cooled inline 4 woke from its slumber ready to pop, crackle and catapult me towards turn 1, but not before I'd snicked first on the race shift pattern gearbox selector and puddled down pit lane. Feeling mildly inadequate behind Mackenzie Jnr I, knew he'd be looking back to see if I could keep up with his guide rider pace. I knew the tires were warm. I knew the bike would be ready to offer its 215 horsepower at 13,900 RPM and 120 Nm at 10,000 RPM. Such is the classy application of power and quantity of mid-range torque available to my right hand that I find myself requiring second and third gears alone, with the exception of the back straight, of course. It's almost a crime not to enjoy the off-throttle crackle and on-throttle pitchy roar from the 421 titanium paddocks system as often as possible, especially with the joy it brings. I imagine the loin-friendly commotion would sound and feel a whole lot better if I'd have dropped 68,000 pounds on the HP4 Race myself. Though perhaps less so when you discover the 106 dB it emits would restrict it from many UK track days, courtesy of not being strangled by Euro 4 limitations. That said, you'd have to be confident in your skills to pitch up at Dunnington or Silverstone on an HP4 Race. 5 of the 6 gears were recalculated, with first and second having longer ratios and gears 4 to 6 are shorter for optimum track use. The up and down shifter, in its race shift pattern, is impeccable. The engine is similar in specification to the 6.2 and 7.2 that feature in the BMW Endurance and World Superbike Championship contenders, a blueprint hybrid of the two built by hand by a small and dedicated team in Berlin and then run in on a test bench to ensure the maximum power output is achieved, and so customers can use its full capacity straight away. They think of everything, those Germans. In fact, each bike takes 1 day to build by one dedicated mechanic. The way in which it seeks an apex is all about the precision engineering dedicated to the BMW's ace card, the carbon fiber one-piece frame. Having seemingly floated along the lengthy Almeria straight as I'm hard on the throttle pushing the needle towards the red line before using that sweet, slick and almost touch-free race shift style gearbox, then spotting my breakpoint and down 4 gears faster than you can say down 4 gears, the bike's razor-sharp agility and beautiful poise come into their own. Slick, precise and begging for the power before you've hit the apex, you can give in to its wishes because those damn fine electronics have got your back. The audible stutter of the traction control lets you know everything is cool as you plow onto the next corner, slick Pirelli rubber assisting all the way. Top spec and fully adjustable Öhlins FGR 300 Superbike forks and Öhlins TTX 36GP shock offer a sumptuous, complementary, and not too sturdy foil to the lightweight frame the same weight as a 6-month-old baby, about which Mackenzie Jnr I, the HP4 Race project leader, tells us it's the biggest piece BMW has ever done. When you compare a frame from a K1600 6-cylinder bike, it's several cast parts welded together. It doesn't come much better than Brembo GP4 PR monoblock calipers with coated titanium pistons and a single-piece aluminium calipers that are nickel-plated no less. They are potentially the best combination of materials available to halt a 215 horsepower machine that weighs less than a KTM 690 Duke, beautifully sensitive and just as effective after 10 laps at the end of the flat-out 900 meter straight down from 6th to 2nd gear as they were on lap 1. It's easy enough to pin the throttle in a straight line, but it requires a degree of bravery to tell yourself that the epic brakes will be just as epic next time you need to rely on them. Thankfully, the top spec brakes work in tandem with the gorgeous and sublime suspension and chassis to keep the rear wheel on the ground and the entire bike nice and stable even under extreme braking.